Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the MMK Show. I'm your host, Megla, and I'm joined by Margaret and Kevin. We three of us together are MMK. And today we've got a very special guest with us. We've got Ryan Cramer from PingPong. Hi, Ryan. How are you doing today?
Megla, Margaret, Kevin, or MMK. It's nice to see you guys, and I love your guys' show. Every time I'm about ready to wind down for the day, I know you guys are coming on, so I love listening to your guys' content.
Awesome. So
Nice
glad
to
hear
see you.
that.
Thank you for that,
No problem.
Ryan.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
So
Pleasure,
first of
mate,
all,
pleasure.
PingPong is our partner of the month for April. So we've been talking about PingPong and sharing and talking about their services. We've also introduced PingPong to our suppliers in India, and we find that PingPong is one of the few payment service providers that really are ideal for India. And they've got offices in India, very well established. They follow all of the regulations in India that are super complicated. So we found that PingPong is ideal for payments in India, whether you're a supplier based in India, whether you're an Amazon seller based in India selling globally, or whether you're a global seller in Australia, US, anywhere, and you are sourcing from India. So PingPong is, covers all three aspects. And Ryan today is going to talk about the service, the platform, and tell us the pros and cons and how it all works. So super exciting. But first of all, Ryan, do you want to give an introduction and tell people about yourself? What's your background and how do you end up in PingPong?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's hopefully we have enough time to cover all that. So my background, I jokingly say my background, everyone, my name is Ryan Cramer. I'm with PingPong Payments. My title is technically partnership marketing manager, but I call myself the jack of all trades. So I say I have a playing e-commerce bingo with my background, which I was a seller, did a direct to consumer, working for a supplier and manufacturer and wholesaler. Developed a direct-to-consumer channel for a home gift garden company with 10,000 SKUs. Our office was based in China, and I was in charge of selling products in the decorative item category through affiliate marketing and couponing and deal sites and things like that. My first introduction to e-commerce, I get to play with free inventory, it felt like. So my job was to make ourselves profitable, but then also figure out how we can seasonality and things like that. So I did that for about 2.5 years. I've worked in the MBA and WNBA when I moved back to where I'm currently at in Indiana, not India, but Indiana here in Indianapolis. And I wanted to be mainly focused in Amazon and e-commerce. So I actually, for a year, worked with Casey Goss at Viral Launch back in 2019, which is, again, software as a service with product research and ranking, and as well as other sorts of keyword discovery, a lot of different products we have. Very comparable to like Helium 10 and very great products out there, Carbon 6, so on and so forth. And then a friend of, I believe, the show, Tim Jordan, gave me a call one day, late 2019, early 2020. And he said, hey, I think there's a good position for you globally. We had never met. It was just all done through LinkedIn, which is how people do business nowadays. And he said, you should really look at the PingPong. And I said, I think there's a cool opportunity to talk globally about commerce and e-commerce, not just on Amazon, but across the channels. And there's a cool fit. And I've been working with PingPong for just over 2 years now. And my role has evolved as brand ambassador, but also podcast host and webinar host, and talking on a daily basis with so many different people like yourself. It's been a busy 2 years, it feels like, and now getting out into the events, going to all these different Prosper most recently, and going to ASGTG, and there's all sorts of things going on. So that's kind of what I do on a day-to-day basis. Just get to talk to smart people like you three, and get to talk about e-commerce and hopefully educate people about different ways that we help people save time and money on e-commerce.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. I mean, your podcast is Crossover Commerce, right?
Yes, that's correct. We had you on. Gosh, that was, it almost feels like yesterday, but it was like episode, I want to say it was before my first 30, and now I'm on 230 something, I think,
wow.
today. So we've had a lot of people on just a daily. So it's been a lot of fun. So I appreciate it and enjoy it. And it's how you get to meet people and educate the markets as well.
Awesome. Vanita saying, I'm from Indiana. Good to know you're from Indianapolis.
Look at that. Yes. I'm in Westfield, if that helps with anyone. I'm just north of Indianapolis. So we represent, actually, believe it or not, I was on a tool today, and there's I believe like the Midwest and India in the United States is quite interesting. It has the fourth largest like component or area of e-commerce sellers and Amazon sellers, which I thought was really interesting. So representing the Midwest here in the United States is nice.
Okay. Allison, good morning. How are you doing today?
Good morning,
Good morning, Allison.
Okay, so let's get started, Ryan. I'm going to share your screen, and there we go.
Look at that. Look at that group of people. All right, perfect. Let me go ahead and pull up on my end. And we named today Streamlining India Supplier Payments, which is really important. I want to make sure we answer any questions and make sure that if I cover something or don't cover something, make sure you ask in the comment section below. And we'll make sure we get those resolved and make sure if we need to go into more detail, I want to make sure we have enough time for everyone if they have questions, and really want to make sure that we get all down to the nitty gritty in as much time as we have. So if you have questions, I'll make sure you can reach out to me directly in our team and we can go through those detailed nuances. But again, about myself, we've already went over that. I run a podcast for PingPong Payments, all the different stuff you don't need to know more information about me. But what I wanted to talk about before we get started, before all these different terms and terminologies come up, is why is it important to pay suppliers in localized currency? It's something when you're paying out suppliers, and I know a lot on this channel talked about why you might look for a different sourcing company or supplier, not in China or in a different country. Well, there's a lot of different things that have been going on in the world. Obviously, cost and convenience. A lot of the world is caught up with the Chinese suppliers of the world. Though a lot of people still use them, there's so many different fantastic suppliers and manufacturers that are evolving in different countries like India, and we want to be those growth partners and supporters of those markets. So how PingPong works is we actually operate by OPEC, and we run these regulation guidelines that we have to comply by. And without getting super boring in financial world, we have to be strict and compliant based upon every economy and every country's regulations on sending and receiving funds in and out of countries and to different currencies worldwide. So that means we have to be compliant, secure, and safe, and we have to be adhere to all these different regulations that all these different economies hold dear and for their own, for their own people that are using in their own economies. So the number one thing that we always make sure and tell people is that PingPong payments is safe, secure, and reliable. The old way of sending payments to suppliers and manufacturers was going down to a bank, making sure that you wire transfer. You're there, you're making sure that the numbers are filled out right from the purchase order, all these different things, and making sure that once you send off that wire, you're paying a $35 US dollar, $45 US dollar fee just to send money to that entity, and then you wait, and then you wait some more, and then you're like, did I get those numbers right? Where's my money? Where did it's going to hit their account? You don't know. It's in limbo. It's really it's heart inducing or anxiety inducing, and that's where it's really unfortunate for people around the world, is that that's the old way of doing business, is that you were spending so much time waiting for money to get to a different entity worldwide. We've eliminated all those barriers, and we actually work with tier one banks so that money is safe, secure, and reliable. And when I mean tier one banks is that if you were sending money with PingPong, you are going to be working with a Chase, a Citibank, a Wells Fargo, an HSBC. Depending on where you are in the world, you get an account that's protected by those bank entities, and you get it's secure and reliable. So if PingPong disappeared off the face of the earth tomorrow, you can go to that bank, you give them your account information, your money is still there. So that's what's fantastic about us, is that it's not in the cloud somewhere. It's actually supported. We're working on behalf of those entities, but we just do it quicker with our technology. So why is it important for paying your suppliers in India? What I always tell people is that most of the time that they're going to be requesting an invoice in US dollar. It's just because that's what a lot of people around the world have access to. They're not asking you to pay them out in INR, for example, because not many people stuff that under their mattress, or they don't have an access or a secondary fund just waiting to pay them out. They just use economies that are convenient, and that's where the world kind of comes at you. Even though it's convenient, doesn't mean it's cost effective. So before I get into everything, when you're paying out in, for example, the US dollar, if I'm in the United States and I'm listening to this, or if I'm in Australia and I'm listening to this, and I say, yes, I am paying out my supplier in the US dollar, why does that matter? I feel like I'm getting a good rate. Megala, Kevin, Margaret, they're teaching me, hey, negotiate with suppliers, manufacturers, all these things. I'm saving money, right? Well, you still might be leaving money on the table if you're not paying in localized currency where your supplier and manufacturer is. But how do you do that? You can use a solution like PingPong to convert money from, example, US dollar over to INR and send money out to them. So once they receive those funds, they actually don't have to wait for banks to convert it over. Like I said, those 3 to 5 business days. It takes time for money and banking systems to convert it over, for them to hit their account, and then they either start production, they buy the resources and materials and goods, and then they start the production of building your product and whatnot. So the time aspect is really going to be key and crucial when, and this applies to no matter what market you might be talking about, India, China, Mexico, all of these different markets, they all have the same thing. You don't want money to be waiting around in the ether and in the banking system so that it just exchanges hands, and then you're waiting on it for it to get to local currency for them to be able to actually use it, pay their employees, buy their goods, and so on and so forth. So why we tell people to pay out in localized currency is, one, the time aspect. It's very important to cut down on the time, and you'll see it in some of these slides that I have today. But two, it's also cost effective when you can negotiate with supplier. Time and time again, we actually see that a supplier will take you more seriously if you know the value of one currency over another, and that you have access to pay them out in localized currency. They know that you're serious because they know that you can have access and that you've done business before. You know what's important to them. It's all about the relationship building, that ultimately you want to mitigate any sort of time waste on old archaic systems. You want the money to reach them as fast as possible, and you're here to do business, and you're here to make sure that you're being taken seriously. So what you can do, and this is just an easy tip, is that when you get your next invoice, and you can actually go and ask them, say, hey, after looking at your invoice in US dollar, hey, supplier XYZ, I was wondering to know, what if I paid you out in INR? What kind of cost savings, or what would the final payment be if I paid you out in your local currency? And what, is there some sort of savings that you would be able to pass on, or I can help you save in that capacity? They know it's a win-win situation for themselves and for everyone else, for all parties involved, both the supplier and yourself as the purchaser of the goods. So there's this entity, I always use the term buffer, of they want to make sure that the currency conversion, if you're getting paid out in the US dollar, or you're paying in US dollar, you actually might be paying a 3 to 5% markup on what's actually you should be paying, just because of currency conversion, the time aspect, as well as the weight of the currency and the strength of one currency over the other. They don't want to have to pay more than for that conversion fee, or those cost of conversions. They want to make sure they're getting their money, so they're going to add on a fee in their purchase order on the back end, just to be able to accept US dollars. So that in itself is something that we always tell people: make sure that you're not paying a buffer, or there's no currency conversion fee that they're charging you. Make sure you eliminate that, and make sure that money can either go towards buying more inventory, or just putting more money back to your bottom line. Because in the world of Amazon, there's always another fee, and there's always ups and downs. Take back some of the fees that you might pay, and get some of that money that's on the table and put it back to your bottom line. So that's why we say it's important to not only negotiate, but you strengthen that relationship with a supplier. You're saving money, but also you're mitigating time when it comes to getting your goods quicker, which we all know is very important. When instead of waiting on the water, you want it to be in a warehouse ready to fulfill for your next order that you're getting. So that's my little 10-minute long speech, I want to say, Megla. So you tell me, where do you want to go from here?
Yes, I think that's you touched on some very important points there, Ryan. And I also want to point out that in India, sometimes suppliers prefer to receive US dollars, but then of course you can pay them in US dollars if they have their own PingPong account, for example. Sure. You can pay them in US dollars, and then when the money is transferred into their account, it's converted to INR, and they get a much better conversion rate from PingPong than any bank can give them. So that's another thing that we've been telling suppliers that, hey, you should open your PingPong account and receive payments in the account so that you're not losing money. So I mean, that's the ideal situation, right? If the supplier also has a PingPong account. And another thing, that very important thing that I want to point out is that in India the regulations are like very complicated. There's a central bank, Reserve Bank of India, and they have not mine.
I know.
But one of the things that suppliers need is an FIRC, which is a Foreign Inward Remittance Certificate. That is a very important document that they need to submit to the bank in order to receive some benefits from the government. So they need to show that, hey, we've brought in foreign exchange and we've exported these goods, and this is a foreign exchange that we've brought in, and therefore we need whatever tax breaks or some sort of benefits they get back from the government. So this FIRC is super important, and currently the regular bank issues the FIRC. But in case of PingPong, they also provide FIRCs, and this is something that is super important for suppliers, so they can get the FIRC from PingPong if they have an account there.
Absolutely. And like you said, typically if I went to a bank and you said, hey, can you convert, or if you go to an airport, and this is notorious, if you say, hey, can I get currency XYZ if I land in that country, you see the rates on those boards in airports. Again, it's been forever since a lot of people have been at airports, but if you look at it, the rates are a lot higher than what they should be. Same with that banks. They have flat fees, but they're also making money on those transactions. It's a good point you brought up, Megla, of when you have a receiving account in PingPong, it's almost an instantaneous, like a 30-minute delay of PingPong account to PingPong account. If a supplier has one and you pay them out in INR or US dollar, again, they can convert it at a better rate than what any traditional bank can as well. Again, it's 3 to 5%. I use that range because it differentiates. It just depends on the banking system and what they have it set at and which currency it's coming from. But in that capacity, you're still saving. The supplier himself is also making and saving a lot of money too. So it's very important that it's a win-win for everyone. And those are the best kinds of relationships that you can have, of when a supplier wins and the seller, the Amazon seller, the private label seller wins. Everyone is happy, and then the relationship grows and everyone prospers.
Exactly. Okay, do you want to move on to the next?
I can, yes. I will be as fast. And again, if you have any questions, anyone, I love where everyone's listening from. I love talking with people overseas, and you guys have to let me know what tomorrow holds for me later at the end of the show. I have no idea. This is the end of my day. It's the beginning of your day. So, but as you're probably reading too in security and regulations, PingPong payments, each of us, even if we're in marketing like myself or our compliance team or our sales team, everyone in our company has to go through strict security and regulations. There are initiatives that we have to comply by, and I'm happy to say that there's never been a source of fraudulent activity and any of these things where we have to constantly be on the lookout for. So to make sure that people's money is safe, secure, and reliable is our number one initiative. Again, partnering with JP Morgan, Chase, Wells Fargo, Citi, Bank of America. We have multiple other ones in there too. So you can see how important that those banking systems see us, but on a global level, knowing that we've moved tens of billions of dollars around the world. I think it's $100 billion now to date that we've moved in helping millions of customers worldwide. So with that much money flowing around, you know that it's important for us to make sure that money is safe, secure, reliable, and it gets there in a timely fashion. So making sure first and foremost that we comply by all security and regulations. If you bring on a new supplier, for example, if I'm in the United States and I go to the MMK or I go to indiasourcing.net and I find a new supplier and I develop a relationship, we're also going to go through the strenuous process of a KYC and knowing your customer, making sure that that entity is who they are, who they say they are. They're not some shell corporation. We're going to try to make sure that they are as safe and secure as reliable. You can trust who you're sending to. is whoever they say they are. So that's very important for a lot of people, where they see the value in that as well. Of every entity that you're for the first time going to be sending to, we go through asking for like an invoice, kind of some information based on them to make sure that you are going to be sending it safely to another entity that's safe and secure as well. So that's kind of where the safety and security regulations, we want to make sure you're protected as well. Risk management, again, we can break down, but in India specifically, I want to highlight PingPong's India payment solution is fully compliant with both overseas and RBI regulators, online payment gateway service provider, the OPGSP. It acts in India as an online payment service, a gateway service provider, as prescribed by the RBI. I'm going to use a lot of acronyms. Please bear with me if I mix them up. But for the purpose of facilitating certain payment services. So in this capacity, like Mangala said, it's the act of bringing in money to grow business in India. That's how we are positioned to make sure that when money is getting sent to India, that's how our regulation compliance in license is stated in India. So that's very important to understand as well, and wanted to highlight that. As you can see in Japan, Hong Kong, United States, and Europe, they're all different. And if you thought that there was complexities in your line of business, let me tell you, fintech is the world that you don't want to go into, because there's a lot of regulations. There's a lot of every state in the United States has its own regulations. Every country in the world has its own regulations. They're all different and unique. So I give 100% props to our compliance team for keeping us on top of everything. If laws and regulations change, we have to change and make sure that everything is still up to code. So that's
Ryan,
kind of,
does this mean that only people based in these countries can set up a PingPong account? Because I don't see Australia here.
That's not true. That's
okay.
This is just a highlight. Australia, you can have a receiving account too. You can definitely have a receiving account. So again, I went back to OPEC. If talking about receiving accounts is different than sending out. If you're paying out versus receiving in, regulations differ in that capacity. But this is just a highlighted slide. In Australia, we do have lots of clients who can use us. They receive the funds in Australian dollar, and I'll even highlight all the ones you can receive funds from. But you can actually pay out to over 170 different countries worldwide. The ones that you receive are just the major ones in the world that are pretty consistent. Like again, the U.S. dollar, the Canadian dollar, the Mexican peso, the Singapore dollar, the Hong Kong dollar, so on and so forth. So I will go through that list that you can receive funds from.
So we've got a question from Farah Zedi, and I was going to ask you this, and Farah, you're here, so good that you could ask it. So can PingPong accommodate sole proprietor Brunei-based businesses? I would like to receive money from Amazon and pay my suppliers. I did my research. OFX, Airwallex, and Wise do not accommodate Brunei because they do not have means facility to verify sole proprietor Brunei-based business.
That's a great question. And Farah, I would have to rely on our compliance team, because I specifically do not know, but our compliance team would be able to answer that question. That is a very fantastic question and very specific, but I want to make sure that I don't want to misspeak. I personally don't know that answer. So stay tuned. If you email me after this, and we'll make sure my email address gets to that, I can ask our supplier team and our compliance team, and they will be able to answer for you.
Okay. And Farah, I'm going to send you Ryan's email address so you can email him directly.
Yeah, I apologize for that, but I knew I'd get stumped on this. You guys are hard-hitting question people, so one for one. No,
let's see what other countries we can find for you.
That's fine. Keep them coming, because this is a learning experience for me. I had a lot of, and again, all this stuff is unique and different and ever evolving. So I would hate to answer one way and it have changed. So awesome, thank you, Vara.
Quick shout out to Jamie Paros. He says, "Hello everyone. Hello Ryan. Hope everyone has a great day. Talk soon."
Absolutely, yeah. Jamie Paros just announced a great event, I believe, that Michael, you're a part of. So I love the thing he's doing. So great to hear him today. We were talking about too, for people who are like, what does it look like? Again, PingPong. What I want to kind of like take a quick moment to make people understand is if you're a business and a brand, if you're looking internationally and you're looking to grow your brand, this is something I've been preaching for about 2 years now that I've been here, is that if you're growing internationally, not just through Amazon, but outside of Amazon, that can be through your own D2C website, that can be through different marketplaces like Rakuten or CD Discount or Mercado Libre, other places in the world where marketplaces exist that you might be able to sell your products on. It's not just on Amazon, even though it's a huge major component. You have the ability to have multiple marketplaces, multiple currencies, all in one platform. Why that's important and why it's going to be why we're your accountant's best friend is because of that reason of if I'm operating on Wayfair in the United States and Walmart and all these different marketplaces, but then I go overseas to, like I say, C Discount or again, Mercado Libre in South America or Central America. As my brand continues to grow, I call us the growth partner, if you will, of we can handle all of the receiving accounts and payment accounts on all those platforms and all in one place. So you can download those reports. It's an accountant's best case scenario. They can see all their reports, know which marketplace is coming from, which currency and what converted, and all in one place. And you can export it to your QuickBooks or to your Xero accounting software. It's really an amazing interface. So this is kind of just an easy look at. It's very simple, it's straightforward. You can receive funds in multiple currencies, including US dollar, the Canadian dollar, the yen, the euro, the pound, Australian dollar, Singapore dollar, the AED, which is the United Emirates, and the currency in the United Emirates, and then Mexican peso, and the only payment platform in India supporting payments in SGD and AED. So again, calling out why it's important for supporting in India what we support, as well the Singapore dollar and the AED as well. Super important to call that out as well. The dirhams, excuse me, it was escaping my mind. Too many currencies in this world. Hassle-free onboarding. What I like to tell people is 3 simple processes. You sign up, you register for a free account. You're not paying a fee. You instantly gain access to local banking information in countries where you want to do business, plus making payroll, paying suppliers, and much more possible. As long as you submit that initial process, that KYC information of your information, who you are, who you say you are. So I am Ryan. I have my tax ID, my business account information, if I'm a sole proprietor or if I'm a business entity, putting all that information in, we verify to make sure that you're, again, we can open an account on your behalf, and you're not going to do nefarious things with it. I can go in a deep dark hole of training that I've gone through. It's something where people try to bypass systems and move money around the world for bad things. That is not why we're in business. So we have to make sure you are who you say you are. I would take your word for it, but again, we've had people who've multiple times try to gain our system and try to do bad things, but we are here to protect you at all costs as well. So if it's hard to get in, you know why, but it's a really simple process. Again, activation, your account gets activated once we have all applicable information we need to verify you. Multiple receiving accounts become available instantaneously. It starts with your local account, and then you can open a new receiving account literally in 5 minutes. Once you have one receiving account, you can open up a receiving account, all those different currencies I mentioned in 5 minutes or less. So you don't have to fly to those countries and go through all the have an entity that is established there, having all these different extraneous time wasting tasks anymore. It's all streamlined, and it's now ability for you to grow quickly
so Ryan,
and effectively.
just to confirm, it's only for business transactions, right? You cannot do personal transactions on PingPong. Is that
That's
correct?
correct. Yeah. So
Okay.
we are business to business entity. So business can be, this is somewhat confusing, but business can be me paying out a VA, or me as Ryan Incorporated can pay out my VA who does graphic design work for me, or who is my executive assistant if they're in the Philippines, for example, or somewhere around the world. If I have them, I am paying them as an entity or my employee. So it's technically a business to business transaction. That's perfectly fine. But I can't pay for dinner for the the MMK crew, unfortunately, just because of the different the compliance regulations. So that's where things, when people say fintech, it gets kind of tricky. It kind of stems from business to business and business to consumer. Business consumer would be like Stripe or handling like credit card, debit transactions. It can go towards any of those things, and that's a whole different ball game. Versus, hey, for business, you can do it for business, payments in that capacity. So we live in that one vein. It's a little bit easier to decipher the two. But that's where we live, is that business to business world. Good question.
Okay.
Ryan, do PingPong offer debit cards?
So we offer virtual cards. That's a great question as well. So we offer virtual cards that are whitelisted. So if you request, for example, a virtual card, if you want to pay, I've heard this done before. You can pay out your subscription, like your subscription-based services for like Helium 10, for example. If you want instead to put that on your PingPong account, and you can have them pull from that as long as there's funds from it. It's like a debit card, so it is a virtual card. You wouldn't get anything tangible. You wouldn't earn points on it, but you can have a virtual card if it requests card information, if that makes sense.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah. So it is possible. It's just a virtual card that exists on our platform. You just submit a request to our team, and we can basically not create, but onboard that for you into your account. Yeah, without kind of getting more confusing, this is kind of the easy steps to go with, and how funds flow works. So it's important to know like how quickly, if you're like, how I want my money quickly and I don't want anyone to hold on to it. Well, I'll tell you how quick and easy it is. In the payment section for marketplaces and platforms, like I said, we operate on Amazon and every single marketplace that Amazon exists. Discount, Shopify, Rakuten. These are just examples. We have plenty more I can give you. Like I said, Mercado Libre. We're partners with all these different entities. You receive money in a PingPong account. So if you're getting your remittance from those entities, it receives into those accounts, and you can receive in those 12 to 13 different currencies. The currency conversion can happen. I know Amazon, if you get your remittance in a different country, they will automatically convert it for you. But with PingPong, you can actually hold on to your currency in those different marketplaces until you're ready to have it converted to your local account. So which is really a big benefit for a lot of people. You can set rules in place and say, if I reach 10,000 euros, I want it to convert back to my US bank account. And then we can have that execute once you've received 10,000 euros. Again, as people are scaling, they may not have like an exorbitant amount of money that they want to receive. And they want to wait until the transaction or is at a certain threshold, one currency, before they convert it over as well.
Ryan, can you check your mic? Did it disconnect? Because your audio just went low.
Let me double check. Let me try. Is that better? No. Can you hear me okay, or am I still?
Yeah,
really
we
low?
can
Okay.
hear you okay. Yeah.
Okay, maybe I have to talk up more. I started tailing off a little bit. Take another drink of water.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So there's a question from Vanita. She's saying, my supplier's in China. Does my supplier in China need a PingPong account to receive payments?
Great question, Vanita. The answer is no, they don't, but they probably do. We've been working really hard to get India suppliers on board with PingPong. They don't have to have a Chinese or a PingPong account in China. The benefit for working with us is that when you pay out in China, and I know this is not our topic, Megla, but when you pay out in China in localized currency in RMB or CNY, they're the same currency effectively in China. We actually have no cap when it comes to paying out in that currency. So what does that mean? A lot of our competitors can only send so much RMB over at one day or one time. So it really hampers you from making big purchase orders, which is what a lot of brands and businesses are doing so that they have enough inventory. We don't actually have a cap in the amount of RMB and CNY that you can send to a supplier at one given time. So that's a benefit for us. Hopefully you're at that level where it's, you're able to save a lot of money. You can pay them all out at once, but there is no cap with us. And Yeah, I'm almost 100% positive if you ask somebody, a supplier in China, if you've heard of PingPong, they're going to say yes. That's where our international headquarters is, and we are able to effectively get money into the country with no cap because we've been working really hard on regulations on every country that matters around the world is in the supplier functionality. So that's why we were able to stand out in that capacity. So great question. They don't have to have one. Long story short. But they can
cool.
if they wanted to receive it quicker. Again, there's not too much of a delay, but they probably already have a PingPong account if you asked.
Just a quick note before we move ahead. So we've got a special offer for everybody watching over here. So Vinita, in case you're interested, go to indiasourcing.net/pingpong. And if you sign up using that link, you get 3 months of fee waiver. So you don't have to pay the FX rate that PingPong has. You don't have to pay any of that for 3 months. So that's a special offer that we've got only for India sourcing net, and of course that'll work for whether you want to pay China suppliers or any suppliers. Basically, how does it work, and how would they receive the payment?
Yeah, so basically it's going to be like any purchase order or you paying an invoice. If they give you your account information, accounting and routing number, like you're paying in a typical wire, we don't PingPong doesn't charge any wire fees. So you just insert all that information into our ecosystem, and once it's verified as a legitimate entity, you've done the groundwork before you pay them out. You put in the same amount of information like you would at a bank, and you press send. They receive it as if they're getting paid to their regular bank account. So just think of us as your own bank account. You're sending funds through an app or anything like that. How it gets there, they still get their funds that hit their account just a lot quicker and effectively, but it's getting sent directly to whatever receiving account they want to receive it from in the first place. So they don't have to change anything if they don't want to. You are saving on your end, and you're actually saving on the conversion fees. So I also want to be very transparent too when you said, Megla, why it matters on the 3 months of waiving our fee. To back up, people might be asking, well, Ryan, how does PingPong make money from these transactions, or what's the catch? The catch is that the only time that PingPong ever makes money is on the conversion of funds. So in our ecosystem, from the US dollar over to, again, INR, for example, that in real time, you see exactly what the currency exchange rate is. And then we charge a maximum of 1% on any sort of currency conversion. But at scale, that fee actually goes down way less the more you're using it and receiving and sending funds. So for example, it can be at 1%, but if I do $1 million or I do $100,000 in Canada, we're going to start to take that fee down less and less and less because we value business and we know as you grow, we want to grow as well. We know we're going to grow. So at that rate, we're actually going to charge you 0.7% or 0.5% or 0.3%. It's kind of crazy the rates that we go, but why the fee or why the offer is so great and why you should act now is because we won't make money off of anyone for 3 months, which is a win for everyone. This is a busy time of year. People are prepping for Prime Day. People are prepping for Q3 and Q4 already. It's very likely that PingPong, maybe this sounds bad, maybe not make money off of anyone who's enjoying this offer for 2022. But we know we're going to work with you long term, and we just know the value of our platform. And if you give us a try, you'll love it as you grow your business. So that's why it's so enticing. And you should sign up at indiasourcing.net/pingpong. Did you like that, Megla?
I loved it. Yes, that was awesome.
I can sell anything. This is my job.
Yeah, that was a great plug.
But to give you guys real life experience, these are numbers that from real customers of why it makes sense. The 1% fee that we charge is not hidden in anything. You actually, it flashes in your face on how much PingPong is earning from any transaction. Again, if it's not us, it's a bank, it's a PayPal, it's anything like that. But what they do really well is to hide all the fees, and then it's just you just think it's part of doing business, which is not. We would rather be all up front. You know exactly how much PingPong's helping you save money and also how much PingPong makes off the transaction, but you know for a fact that you're getting the best rate and no one else is going to be making more money off of you for doing the same amount of work. So that's kind of where I always say everyone needs to be truthful and forthright and make sure business is up to code, and we are very transparent in what happens. So if example, you're bringing home money in a receiving account with PingPong, if you weren't using us, for example, you can see the breakdown of monthly sales, money received through service providers, for example, and money received through PingPong. You can see the difference in how much money you're saving. And Megala was teaching me the conversion fee. You said, is it $7,000 to $100?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can see the savings if you're in the United States of the monthly sales versus how much you're actually saving with PingPong. And at first, you might not think it's a lot of money, but again, that can be an extra couple pieces of couple units of inventory. That could be 100. It could be 10 or 100, or hopefully a couple hundred. As the more that you're growing your business, the more inventory you have, clearly, the more you can buy, the better terms you're going to get, the more you're going to sell and be successful as an entrepreneur. So it's kind of a snowball effect on, if you say a little bit here, a little bit there, both sending and receiving funds, it's all going to add up over time. And I promise you, math works in your favor long term, even if it feels like it's small. If you look back 12 months from now and say, my gosh, I added up $35 in savings and I made 100 transactions, and you start doing the math and you go, all right, I save $3,500 a month just on international wire fees, and times 12, holy cow, I save myself 5-6 figures, depending on all the other savings that we're going to give you. That's a lot of money that I was able to save and put towards my bottom line. And upon an exit of your business, it makes you look more profitable, which makes yourself exit at a higher multiple. It's a win for everyone, but we're not going to talk about that on today's show. We're talking about paying suppliers. So that's kind of the breakdown in that capacity. The other thing too, a lot of people say to me is, Ryan, Amazon already takes care of me. They already convert my funds. Like, I'm in Australia, I'm selling in the United States. It hits my bank account every 2 weeks. There's nothing wrong with that, right? And I say, do you know how much Amazon's charging you for converting your funds? And they said, wait, they're charging me? That's correct. Amazon will be charging you, but they don't make it apparent. It's not a referral fee. It's not a housing fee. It's not a long-term storage fee. It's none of those fees that you see in every line item. This is a legitimate currency conversion fee. The Amazon won't list out in their line items. They won't show at the end of the day your total remittance. If you're selling in a different marketplace than where you currently exist, you will, and I'm going to look in the camera at this, Amazon is still charging you 1.5% to 2% per amount that you're selling, and you're going to be still paying a fee at the end of the day for your net proceeds just to get it converted from that marketplace's currency to your local currency. And you might say that's a lot of crap, Ryan. Well, it's true. It's called Amazon Currency Converter for sellers. And if you're not working with a local bank account or a receiving account in that marketplace, Amazon will charge you for it, and it's at a rate of 1.5 to down. If you're doing 9 figures, you get a break. You get 0.75%. Good for you, but you're still paying 0.75% on $120 million, for example, or monthly volume of $10 million. That might seem like a lot for you, but it's what Amazon sellers are doing all over the world. You're going to be saving anywhere from $85,000. I think that says $55,000 a month. My numbers are a little small, but over the course of a year, you might be saving as much as $660,000. That's if you're a 9-figure seller. Even if you're a 7-figure seller, you're saving yourself thousands of dollars on a given month. Even if you're just doing $1 million in revenue a month, I say if that's a lot of money. You just don't want to be wasting just because if Amazon is sending you money to your local currency. So where I show people the savings is right there in those bullet points. There's a lot of it kind of shocks a lot of people when I show them how much. It used to be a lot more that we were saving people. Amazon was charging anyone 3 to 4% just to convert their funds, but it's still not market leading, and it's still not in the business to what's being in business for helping sellers out. They're still taking a chunk of your net proceeds just to convert your funds for every 2 weeks that they're going to convert it. So we give that power back to the seller for sending and receiving funds. So that's kind of the call out I wanted to make there.
Yeah,
A little
totally
sneaky.
makes sense. So let's stop donating our money to banks and to Amazon.
Guys, I'm telling you,
Put more in your back pocket. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and this is this, let's call it a topical component, right? I know we only have about 13 or so minutes left. Amazon just upcharged 5% more for gas tax surcharge on in most goods that are, most goods now starting here in a few, I think just recently, or it will happen here shortly. That 5%, what I can already tell people is like, well, you can get some of that percentage back by just using a service like a PingPong, putting more money back to your bottom line. And again, like a Gatita, for example, is getting more money back to your bottom line. Like we have all these great service providers and partners that we don't want money to be wasted, and it's just going to help us mitigate that when we're working in a world where there's just very thin margins. We want to make sure that people have enough buffer to kind of play around and still be able to invest more in their PPC or invest more into more inventory. That's why I love being able to say, look, we are saving you money. It's not like we're charging you monthly. It's just preemptively making sure that you don't get screwed by Amazon or quote unquote by Megla donating money to banks and Amazon. I love that. I'm gonna use that from now on. So
Okay, so let's
go
take
ahead.
a couple of questions, Ryan, first.
Let's
So
do it.
Vanita's asking, does PingPong provide trade assurance? She
Great
clarified it's
question.
assurance.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, and you're talking about with Alibaba.
like
So
Alibaba's.
Alibaba does that, yeah, because they have a network and they have vetted people. We don't have anything that is comparable to trade assurance, but what we do is that KYC process. We verify the entity to make sure they're legitimate for the first place. And with working with people like India Sourcing Network, working with supplier networks in China, we do a good job by making sure that they're vetted in the first and foremost case. Worst case scenario, what we tell people is you can stop a transaction if you know that we tell them to look out for sourcing pitfalls, like if they change the address at the last second or they use certain components of, they tell you to not, if the address for the warehouse doesn't match the invoice or vice versa. There's all these little tips that we tell people of make sure you look out for it. And so we try to condition the seller to, hey, be on the defensive instead of being screwed over. But what we do is we try to work on the component of you can stop a transaction, but we don't call anything trade assurance, but we try to vet the people up front to make sure that they're good actors in the first place. Now, once you press pay, hopefully those people are who they're going to do the right thing. And if they, disappear, that's unfortunately not a PingPong thing, but we want to make sure that they're legitimate in the first place. So hopefully that
So
answers
that's only
your question.
if they have a PingPong account, right? I mean, if somebody is transferring directly into a supplier's bank account,
that's
there's
correct.
nothing you can do. And so you said you could recall the payment, right? So how much time do we have to do?
Yeah, I to give a window, if it's a PingPong account to PingPong account, again, that's easy for us to mitigate and to make sure that stops right instantaneously. Sending it out, I can't give a window, but I think our transactions hit anywhere from 24 to 48 hours. So if it's within a couple hours of instance, you can flag our team and we can work with you in that regards. But I don't have any specific ones that I've worked with on that.
It's hours, it's not days.
Right.
Okay.
That would be the best case. Obviously, you want to be as preemptive as you can, and once you figure it out, that we'll do our best to give you all the solutions we have available to us. But there's no such thing as like a trade assurance for us, like an Alibaba. Right. But we do partner with like Alibaba too. So if they're legitimate and you do your research, and we try to teach of all the ways, just like you guys do, of make sure they're legitimate and all the entities you can and all the ways you can. That's the best way that you can do at this juncture in time.
Yeah.
And
so
sorry, Megla.
No, go ahead, Kevin.
I was just going to say, because of the compliance, how people have to comply, for the compliance, like us, we have certain compliance from the factories. And so we know that, they're a real factory and, you can sort of deal with them sort of safely. But there's, like everything in life, there's not Nothing is like concrete sometimes. Do you know what I mean?
Right. And those are the cases where you hope those people are slowly being, no longer in business, or enough people have spoken up. But those are the things that I know a lot of people have anxiety over, and that we do our best to, make sure that they're as legitimate as they can be. And again, we're working on verifications on our back end versus with governmental regulations and all these different things that hopefully point us into a 99.7%, safety, security, make sure that they're there. Hopefully, and on the back end is the rest of the sellers and suppliers and manufacturers. What they do is ultimately, hopefully they're in business to do good business and not to scam people. But again, that's not something I want to ever think about and hopefully ever have to encounter, and we have to ever do that for people. So that's our hope.
Yeah. And Vinita, if you're sourcing from India, then you can safely source from India Sourcing Network vetted suppliers, because we checked that they are all legitimate companies and their export experience, their manufacturers. Of course, you have to manage quality yourself, so we don't guarantee quality, because quality is very subjective. It really depends on your specific requirements. But at least the suppliers that we vetted, they're not going to like run away with your money.
Exactly.
So they're not going to disappear.
They're same component is like the
Yeah.
quality aspect. That is something clearly that PingPong has no control over. That's why
Yes.
you do like a quality control and all these other amazing things. But yeah, I would point to just amazing teams like a Megala, like India Sourcing Network and team. Like those are the best ways to do it. And if you do have any sort of self-doubt or confidence, doubt in your confidence in that, go through an Alibaba. I think there's nothing wrong with that until you vet them out however you need to, and whatever you feel confident in and safe in. I think you should do the best thing for your business. So even though there's not a guaranteed way besides that, you do your best as an entrepreneur in that capacity.
Yeah, and just to clarify, Alibaba Trade Assurance is currently not available for India or any countries outside of China. So that's specifically for China.
That's the tricky part.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Another question. So Christine is asking, do you add PingPong to your seller account to avoid the Amazon conversion fees? And is this easily done?
That's correct. Yeah, that's a great question, Christine. So instead of if I'm in the United States and I'm selling in Canada, for example, you typically, when you open up your seller central account, you're putting in your U.S. bank information. They'll keep that for the time being. But if you want to switch it out, like if you're selling internationally now, you would just we have a whole very strict sending notes to Amazon, making sure this is the time when you need to switch it over. You don't do it 2 days before you're supposed to be paid out, because your account will get flagged, and no one wants that to happen. We have a very strict process of we handhold you through the process. When you exchange account information, you preemptively tell Amazon, by the way, I have a new banking account information. They put a note on your account. You put the information in, and it's going to be paid out directly to your PingPong receiving account. So you're just switching receiving accounts. Amazon's notify it. There's almost never an issue if you do it exactly. You follow the instructions. People get antsy. They're like, I'm just going to do it on my own. That's when Amazon flags you. So they do that for safety and security reasons. They don't want someone to think that they're getting scammed or someone hacked their account or something along those lines. So we have all these notes and emails that we send templates to Amazon in conjunction with you, the seller, to notify them, to make sure that they are aware that you don't get your account shut down, and that you can, have a receiving account with PingPong. And as of last year, you have to have a participant in their Amazon currency converter program. If you don't, that's a part of the participation. So it's a whole thing Amazon created to be safe and secure and reliable. We were one of the first 4 companies to ever be a participant in it. So they know that we are one of those participants. So there is almost never any issue with that in that capacity either. So great question.
Okay, so let's keep going, Ryan.
Yeah, so the fastest payment, and I know we have about less than 5 minutes left, so I'm going to burn through as much information as possible. We're almost there in the last stretch. The fastest payments, time is money. I just want to say what us versus other suppliers, Amazon making payments and transfers on day 0, obviously on a typical Friday. The payment is received by the service provider, like we had just mentioned, usually within 2 working days. And when we pay it out, the payment is received by the seller for other service providers in their bank account in India 2 or more business days after having received the payment. But with PingPong, a super fast payment process, once PingPong receives the payment, it is received by the seller in India bank account within the same working day or next day, saving 2 to 3 business days in a payment cycle. So even though it's a narrow margin, I say time adds up and it's money. It's saving you in other ways to focus on your business, so you don't have to worry about paying out bills or anything like that. You can pay them off sooner. You can reinvest that into your company a lot quicker, or you can just use it for what you came into business for and pay yourself out however you need to. But when money's tied up in different places unnecessarily, for example, if this is not like, hey, your inventory stuck on the water and it's tied up on a boat somewhere. This is money is just tied up just to be converted by another outside entity. We mitigate all of that. So that's kind of where we compare to other businesses and services. And what we offer our customers in India, I think this is very important. International payments, obviously, in those receiving accounts around sellers in India, local bank withdrawal, obviously funds automatically transfer into India bank account in INR or USD are highly competitive rates, fast, secure payments, like I mentioned before, and transparency that leads to trust. Everyone wins in that regards. And we also offer account management services and customer support to our customers in India. We have teams all around the world. I would guess how many different branches we have around the world. It's a lot. We've only been around 7 years, and I think we have 600 or 800 employees worldwide, and we call ourselves a startup still. So we do exist around the world. We're an international company. I'm in the United States, but we have teams in India. We have South Korea, China, clearly, lots of different. I'm skipping ahead. Lots of different countries worldwide, and then India sellers with the U.S. entity. They value service. We hold money. Safe and secure. These are just different ways that say we're safe, secure, and reliable with everything and involved. Virtual credit cards, like Kevin had asked earlier. You get a virtual credit card to make payments if you request it, and just kind of a breakdown on what some of the ways of how the old way versus the PingPong way we streamline the supplier functionality. You don't have to go through multiple banks, and that's where all the fees get associated. You work with PingPong, and we've bypassed all those entities with our technology as well. So this goes with India, this goes with China, this goes with paying out your team in worldwide. But these are perks, benefits. I won't bore you with all of these because they pat me on the back more than they talk about the topic we're talking about today. But as we're growing worldwide, at a glance, this is just, again, pat myself on the back. We continue to grow in a very fast and very rapid way, helping as e-commerce grows. We're very focused on e-commerce and helping that solution become more valuable for service providers worldwide and sellers worldwide. And again, that global footprint, we're everywhere. We are, in China, we're in Hong Kong, we're in Tokyo, we're in Seoul, we're in Luxembourg, New York, Bay Area, Los Angeles. Those are just our main areas. 14 offices in around the world, and we're going to continue to grow to help support you, the seller. And we're just getting our name out there. We live in a very small vertical, but it's an important vertical when it comes to paying your supplier and receiving funds. And that's kind of a QR code. I know it's kind of the rage of we have a Facebook group in PingPong India team. So if you have questions to our local team there in India, we actually have a QR code. If you scan that, they'll point you in that direction there on Facebook as well. But I want to thank you guys so much for just letting me spend some of the time here today. I know hopefully there was a lot of value, and it's a no-brainer when it comes to making sure that you don't waste money. Again, let's not pay Amazon or banks more than we have to. I'm going to use that.
Absolutely.
You have to say donate.
Exactly.
Donations, yeah.
Yeah,
I think when you think of years gone by, we've what fees we've paid to the likes of PayPal and other service providers that we've been paying in the years gone by, and now sort of like PingPong service providers, and then like yourselves, and all of a sudden, it's a big, huge savings for people when they get themselves set up properly. So yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, we appreciate it, and we're going to continue to evolve and grow. We listen to our customers, which I also think is very important. Of if there's a functionality that people are needing or wanting, we have a team that's willing to develop functionality. You can have your team, if you have VAs, or you can set up rules based in your own account. So if you have an accountant, they only get access to receiving accounts, not sending money anywhere. If you have an executive assistant or a VA, they only have the ability to pay out a supplier. You can have security around that on your team as well, because as you're growing business, you need to have rules around just making sure that your money is safe and secure within your own team. Not that you don't trust them, but kind of baby proofing yourself as well, your business, to making sure they don't accidentally withdraw money to one of the accounts when it wasn't supposed to, or make a transaction when it wasn't supposed to. So we make sure there's all these two-step authentications. You'll get pinged on your mobile device, all these different security measures, and we make sure that your money is going where it's supposed to and is getting received how it's supposed to.
Yeah, one of the benefits that I've found, using a service, a payment, a virtual bank. Would you say PingPong is a virtual bank as well? Is that okay to?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So, I mean, we have staff in India, and so paying staff, and we pay them from Singapore because our company is registered here and our bank accounts and everything are here. So we pay from Singapore to India, and previously we were paying directly via the bank, and we were being charged like $30-$40 per transaction, and then the recipient was also being charged $30. So overall it was like $70-$80 per transaction, Singapore dollars of course, but still that's about $50-$60 US dollars per transaction. That's per month per employee. And of course we were getting a crappy exchange rate as well, so we were losing money there too. And so now after using a PSP, there's no transaction fee, of course, and the recipient receives their money in INR, so which you were talking about earlier, that you can pay your suppliers or anybody based in India in INR, and they receive it almost instantly, like almost within a couple of hours. It's in their banks for them to use. And so, oh my gosh, we've like saved, and of course our team is going to grow in the future, right? So it's not, we would have spent so much more on just paying salaries, and there's so many other payments that we have to do as well in India. So yeah, I mean, we've probably, if you look at the whole year, we've saved, I don't know, thousands of dollars over time. We will have saved a lot of money.
Well, now with our staff, with the savings, we'll be able to buy them something at Christmas time.
You can elevate that Christmas gift. Yeah. Hey, Kevin, I was going to say, whatever gift you guys are sending out at Christmas, those look nice. So if you guys can put more in I can't wait to see what you have this next year. Those look nice.
Well, make sure you're on the list,
right? Yeah, they're taking care of.
I'm going to take down your name, Ryan. Add you to the
No,
list.
I was going to say, you don't have to. No, I'm just saying, like, you guys put a lot of thought and effort into your gifts. So I was going to say, if you're saving and putting more money into that, that can be something really nice to look forward to that if you're on their Christmas list, everyone. So,
but I think too, like, the biggest thing for me is like anybody who's selling on Amazon and doesn't have a PSP, they're just using, if they're in Australia here and putting it into their Westpac or their Commonwealth Bank, you are donating half your profit, because there ain't that much profit. You've got to be really tight on your profits, and you can't afford to give it to the banks. And that's what's happening. Those big banks here are just charging you so much conversion fee. And even paying your supplier, like if you pay Helium-10 and all those things on your credit card, your Australian credit card, if you're in Australia, wow, all those fees, you can use a debit card and pay it straight out. So there's lots of things that are a real big benefit, and you've got to tighten up every little cent in your Amazon world, because they're adding their little bits and pieces. So we've got to try and recoup it back somehow.
And I always tell people, if you think credit cards are great, obviously for multiple reasons, if you're doing it for PPC and you're getting cash back, I'm gonna challenge people to this. Know where the fee is going to go and how you're paying it, because ultimately you, the customer, is paying it somewhere, whether it be upfront of the cost, the transaction, or the yearly fee that you have to pay. Just do the math at the end of the year. Really stack up where you're making savings and make it make sense of, hey, it was this in the year prior. Now it's this. If it's a savings, making sure they do add up, because people say, I'll just put on my credit card. Well, the cash back may not equate to, again, the fees that you're paying in the first place. If you're not paying it off in full, I mean, I can go into a whole long financial lecture and economic lecture, and no one wants that today this early in the morning around the world or late at night. So that being said, you just know where the money's going and know it's transparent, because if you're using like a competitor of ours, for example, just know also what rate that you're paying, just for shopping reasons of, hey, know that you have the power to negotiate. I would rather you be able to save as a if you're using like a Payoneer and OFX or TransferWise or something like that. There's a lot that exists out there. I think we say we like have the greatest rate. We want to beat everyone. You know, I say that without any hesitation, because I know we will beat it. But if they're not going to give you a lower rate and there's no ability to do that, you know, you should do what's best for your business ultimately. So if they give you other good things, that's awesome. But just know what things you do have control over as well.
Yeah, makes sense. And for India, of course, there are limited options, I feel. So, you know, we've got to, and if you're based in India and you're selling globally, I think PingPong is the only option as of now, you know, in terms of a PSP. I don't think there are any other PSPs that cater to the Indian market as of now. So PingPong is probably the only, I haven't heard of any other PSPs. So.
I'm not aware of too many, if there are any others. We're trailblazers, I like to think. We're hitting the right markets at the right time. So
I think so.
we did. I say we work backwards. We're now focusing on the United States, and we wanted to make sure everyone globally was taken care of first. Now we're working on, hey, US suppliers or sellers. If you're looking externally, this is where you're going to see the most value. It could be a little bit, but now we're set up for success in the right way, instead of starting in the United States and figuring out and fumbling our way through for international growth. We've grown internationally and we're established internationally. Now we're saying, hey, you might want to work and look at somebody who's done it for the last 7 years, and we have the systems in place to handle growth.
Yeah, we're trying to educate some of our Indian suppliers who, I think sometimes they look at things like this and think it's too good to be true or something. You know, they just, you know, they're a little bit sort of, I don't know. What would you say, Meg? No, hesitant, yeah.
Yeah, they're hesitant to adopt new technologies or, you know, new ways of doing, especially when it comes to banking and financial aspects, because it's just so complicated in India, and the banks are very strict about the documents that they want, and, you know, everything should match up, and they're very particular. And also because they need to get these, you know, duty drawbacks from the government, so they need to make sure that all of their documentation is in order. But the suppliers that have used PingPong, they are super happy, because of course, you know, they're saving so much money. Especially a lot of the suppliers also get paid via PayPal for samples or maybe small orders. So those types of suppliers are also very, you know, happy switching to PingPong, because compared to PayPal, there's a lot of savings too.
Yeah, I've seen people pay as high as 7%, which is a lot. That's a lot on fees. And again, they've built the system. They were the first to market. They can charge that, and it's very convenient. But what I always tell people, with convenience doesn't mean you shouldn't always have to pay the cost. That comes with the convenience. There's too much competition now in the space, and there's too much innovation. You need to do what's right for you as a business, and there's other options out there. So we like to think we're one of the best ones in the place, and especially if we're paying India suppliers, we're the best at it, and I can confidently say.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, and in fact, there are a couple of Amazon sellers based in India who've signed up for PingPong recently, and they've been very happy as well, because again, and they're like really big sellers, so they were, you know, receiving very large amounts, and now they're of course getting even more money, so they're super happy about it. I just want to clarify one thing. So if someone is an Amazon seller based in India, can they hold their USD in their PingPong account, or do they have to transfer it immediately? Because I know for suppliers, the India team told us that they cannot hold the money there, because this is, again, India, you know, RBI guidelines, etc. So PingPong can't hold any money. It has to be transferred immediately and converted to INR and transferred to their bank account directly.
For the receiving, I have to double check. You know, I've always been told we can hold effectively. But I know that India is very strict, so I don't want to misspeak. I know you, Megla, have spoken to our direct India team, and they have the most up to date, and they would be able to give you a clear cut answer. Because I'm in the United States, I'm not always up to date on all the regulations when it comes to holding it. But I know we can make that transaction, but I'm not sure for how long or how instantaneous it should be. So I would ask our
automatically. That's what they told us for suppliers. So it has to be in fact, it automatically comes through to their account as soon as it's sort of just passing through the PingPong gateway, so to speak.
And that's certainly possible. That's certainly possible depending on how we are set up specifically for India to operate. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. But our India team will certainly know, and they're going to be the ones who have their thumb on the pulse of the regulations there. Yeah,
but for anybody else, Australia, US, Singapore,
hold away.
Hold away.
Not been told anything differently. Just like I said, India is always my favorite because they're like, well, India is kind of tricky, and I always roll my eyes with it. And I think it's our favorite compliance country to work with and deal with. India's great and fantastic, but ultimately they're there to protect the India-based economy and obviously sellers. So any outside entity that's coming in to make profit on that, I think that's why they're hesitant with that, and it makes a lot of sense. For just sake of protecting India-based sellers or India, businesses and whatnot. So I get it. It's just tricky for global growth and commerce to happen then in that capacity. So it's tricky for us in different parts of the world.
Yeah, agree. Okay, so well, by the way, Ryan, are you coming with us to India? We're doing India sourcing trip.
Where do I sign up? Where do I sign up? I am excited. No, I've seen there's so many different trips coming up, Megla. I haven't. It's been a while since I know we last talked, and I saw that you guys are doing this in October. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So October. I need to open up October pretty effectively and pretty quickly and start doing my plane trip. No, I would love to. I think that'd be fantastic for PingPong. I know there's so many cool sourcing trips. I know there's the Mexico trip coming. It's like every country's having their own trips. We're going to be going everywhere with suppliers, and I can't wait for Italy's sourcing trip. I'll be there first in line. Fantastic. I'll pretend to be a leather-based product sourcer or something like that, and get my way.
I would start a leather brand just for that.
Starting a leather brand tomorrow, so I can go there.
Also the Turkey trip too.
That'd be cool.
I
think
that's a cool destination to source from too.
Exactly, and I just think that there's so many cool trips that people have missed out. I think that started their business in the past 2 years that existed before, like the China trip, the India sourcing trip, all these different cool ways to get their hands dirty and understand the process that it takes. It's not just talking on DingTalk or WeChat or anything like that with your supplier. It's going there and touching and feeling the process and having that hands-on experience. I can't wait. I'll be first to. I'll make sure PingPong says yes to that trip and that approval for budget. Let me know. Send me the details. I'll be there.
I will do that for sure.
Details are on the way. Right.
Yeah, and Tim Jordan is coming to India as well.
I know.
He's one of the coaches.
Oh, he knows. He's already been talking to Tim.
Okay.
Tim is a yes guy. I feel like it's not really an event or a trip unless Tim Jordan is a part of it. So that's just my take. So, Tim's great. He's fantastic. Like I mentioned before, he talked with me about PingPong, and he's doing great things. I don't know how he does it. I'm not sure how he has time for everything, but he's everywhere and he does everything. So one of those people. He's great.
Yeah, I sometimes wonder if he has clones.
Might. I've met him. Yeah,
I was gonna say, there's about 4 or 5 different Tims running around.
Well, his wife's probably got a stick figure of him, with a dressed in his t-shirt sitting in the corner, because it's the only way she'd see him. Because
we saw one version of Tim in an Easter bunny suit. So there's number 2. Yeah.
I've seen that.
Or was that his onesie? Was that his onesie?
He had a onesie, I think. Yeah, I met Tim for the first time at Prosper, and he lives up to expectation of everyone knows who he is. He had a room packed talking about Walmart. He threw the most amazing party in Vegas, and I know he's speaking at ASGGG, so I'm going to see him there. And there's so many different, he's at all the things. I'm just gonna say if it's an event,
yeah,
he was speaking in LA. I don't know where he's at now, but yeah, he's everywhere. Tim's amazing.
Yeah, he's a character. Yeah.
He is, but he knows a lot and he does a good job at it. So
Definitely.
amazing. Yeah.
He's one of
India
our
sourcing
favorites.
trip. I can't wait. Yeah, that's so
All
that's a week long and all the details and people already signing up.
Yeah. People
8
are already
days.
signing up.
Starting on
8
what?
days. So the dates are
12th.
October 12th to
Yeah.
the 19th.
Okay, that's
And,
not bad.
yeah, log it in.
I need to. Yeah, exactly. That will be on my calendar for sure. So, however, ping pong can support, like I said, we're in India, and I think a lot of business is exciting for India. I think people are yearning for these kinds of trips. So, I think it will make a lot of sense once people can get dirty and get in there and kind of see how the sausage is made. Is that a good expression? I'm not really sure. Depends on what product, but yeah, to get to these trips again, I think is going to be a big eye-opening experience for a lot of different sellers. So that's really cool that you guys are doing it again.
Definitely. How the sausage is made is great, but don't use it in India.
I was to say, you're not Indian sausage, but fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
Joking,
It's
just joking.
not kosher or anything like that. So it's exciting, and yeah, I'll definitely be able to a big supporter of that. I know a lot of people are trying to plan these events coming up. So yeah, amazing. However, I can help support you guys. Happy to do that here in the future.
Appreciate that. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you so much, Ryan, for your time here. And everybody, make sure that you sign up for Ping Pong using this link, indiasourcing.net/Ping Pong, because you get 3 months of fee waivers. You're not paying anything to Ping Pong for 3 months. That's a lot of savings on top of what you're saving by not donating to your bank and to Amazon. You're also saving on, your fees for 3 months, and that can really add up.
Saving on savings.
Exactly.
You're getting paid to save almost, like everyone wins. Like you're almost making money by not. Cool. You would not be making money if you didn't do it. So yeah, it's a fun way. Yeah, we're happy to help. And again, I think if people try it and you start to get your hands dirty in it, I think you'll be surprised of how easy it is and how much savings you'll have as you grow as a business. And we're here to help grow with you. We want to grow just as much as you do. So we want to make sure however we can do that. That's why we're in business.
Yeah, makes sense. All right. So Ryan, thank you so much for your time again. And we will see you hopefully in India.
That's right. A few months. Yeah. It's coming quick. So I need to start planning now.
Months. We're counting down. We're going to put a board up the sleeve soon.
Amazing. Thank you all so much again. It's been a pleasure. I watch you all the time. So thank you for what you guys do.
Yeah, thank you. Pleasure to have you on the show today.
Bye, everyone.
And everybody, thanks for joining us today. We're going to be back with a VIS show, Virtual India Sourcing Show, this Friday morning in Australia, Asia, Thursday evening in the US. So we will see you then. All right. Take care, everyone.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.